Much of our lives is dedicated to work, especially since most of our social connections are with our co-workers, employers and clients, rather than friends or family. This makes retiring that much more difficult, as in doing so these relationships would be left to wither and the person's feeling of isolation greatly increases. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sean Webb and I introduce you to Industry Connections, my solution to social isolation amongst Australians aged 65 years and above. To solve this issue, an appropriate question we need to ask is, how might we prevent social isolation in people aged 65 years plus that have been recently retired by allowing them to remain connected with their former colleagues and industry? The industry partner for this project is Uniting Care Queensland, a not-for-profit organisation that operates a variety of services dedicated to assisting those in need, in this case Australians aged 65 years plus, who are experiencing or at risk of experiencing social isolation and in turn the mental, spiritual and physical health effects of a prolonged lack of interaction with other people. Major trends to factor in, of course, include the following: an increased life expectancy and level of health, and growing emphasis on mental health and well-being, rapidly increasing population that is also aging considerably, the stigmas still associated with aging, and not to mention multiculturalism, that people from different backgrounds may experience social isolation and retirement in different ways. Some important numbers to also consider include the number of people aged 65 years in relation to the rest of the Queensland population. In 2019, this is approximately 16% of 5.09 million. In 2029, it is predicted to be approximately 19% of 6.01 million, to put that increasing size of the market into perspective. At this moment, the Queensland labour force participation for 65 years plus as of 2018 was approximately 80% male and 10% female too, whilst the Australian recruitment services industry comprises of 6,997 enterprises and is worth $11.2 billion in revenue. Here is a persona to show how Industry Connections works. This is John. He is aged 69 years and is living in Brisbane. His entire career is based around manufacturing in Queensland, first starting straight out of high school as a fitter and turner, but also working in motor vehicle assembly, working in sheet metal, and finally finishing his career as a floor manager at the age of 69 whilst taking a redundancy package. However, he soon found retiring to be unfulfilling and he felt lonely, constantly thinking of his former co-workers and his job as well, and feeling out of the loop with what's happening with his former profession. As shown with this customer journey map, John initially has mixed feelings about retirement, the fact that he no longer needs to work, but also will miss his job. He starts feeling bored and later feeling empty, with regular thoughts of his former job and his co-workers. His mood does improve a bit after joining the med set though, but he still feels like he truly doesn't fit in with the others. But there, he spots an ad for a manufacturing seminar being hosted by Industry Connections and his former employers. Having chosen to attend, and having attended plus contributing and learning greatly, he also had the opportunity to catch up with his old workmates. In doing so, this has brought back heaps of memories for him, as shown in this empathy map right here. With interactions like this has allowed him to reminisce about his youth, about his younger years, and remember a time when he was really, truly happy. Which brings us to my solution, Industry Connections, a professional online and real-world networking service that focuses on building and maintaining interpersonal relationships between the current people in industry and those that are no longer working, but continue this sense of social connectedness and the transfer of knowledge. As well as the associated app and website, there is the service itself, that if jointly operated with an organisation such as Uniting Care Queensland, will increase the number of people and number of like-minded individuals they have the opportunity to interact with, plus greatly increasing the user's feeling of connectedness and sense of belonging. This takes inspiration from a pain point and concern from one of the participants from the design sprint conducted in week 8, as well as by being based on the original concept from one of the other groups, Group 1. The layout and function of this software and website operate in a similar manner to LinkedIn as well, but with added physical interaction points for a greater sense of connectedness. The ideal industry partner is, of course, Uniting Care, for their expertise in people of this age group and with social isolation, as well as Seek, considering this is an Australian company that specialises in employment and hiring. Unfortunately, networking and employment agencies at this moment focus purely on getting someone a job, but not so much their mental and social well-being. They also appear to specialize in only one group or industry, considering an increasing number of people not only change jobs and companies frequently, but also change whole industries and whole careers too. Key legal and ethical concerns that need to be considered include the security of users' data and personal info that could easily be allowed to access for hacking, but is combated using advanced and appropriate software and security systems that prevent this from being hacked. Pressuring people to use this system, even though this is conceived primarily for people who want to continue working and still advertise through mainstream media, but can be ignored by people with no interest or need for it. The contact details, of course, are only supplied by people or the party they belong to and give consent to. As shown in the storyboard up here, the retired person feels lonely and unhappy with being retired. After noticing an ad for industry connections and related events, they get in touch via the app, website or phone and schedule an appointment to seek out counselling or sign up to events. If at an appointment, they chat about finding work or getting in touch with someone and leave them their contact details. They then receive a message about recommendations for more events or people to interact with. But what makes this service appealing to people in the 65 years age group is that it isn't marketed as a service specifically for elderly people or that require additional care, more designed to appeal to a broader category of users. This way, the service will benefit more people and minimise the risk of alienating a specific age group with the usual marketing tools utilised when doing so. For people 65 years plus, this also taps into their desire to continue contributing to their local or work community. Part of this stems from the need to feel that they still have some level of independence and control over their lives, and not feel relegated to a nursing home where they're reduced to someone with constant care. But of these industries that are currently serving mature employees, they are more targeting specific industries and only focus on obtaining employment for their customers. Particularly in this present-day work environment, knowing people and building a network is critical to finding the right people for the job or the right job for people. Here are some rough estimates for all the key components of this organisation. The digital aspects, the app and the website, total $80,000 combined. Rent for one bricks and mortar office in Brisbane's inner suburbs is quoted at around $25,000 per annum, and to run one seminar for 50 people with tickets at around $30 per person, a return of $1,500 is expected, which brings us to a grand total per annum of 1 year at $610,000. This is a cost-intensive venture, of course, but considering the potential benefits for the parties involved and the growing importance this issue will be in the coming years, this can also be considered a high-reward undertaking as well. Based on data from the ABS and Queensland Treasury Statistician's Office, the number of users this service could benefit in the coming years is approximately 200,000 by 2024 and approximately 270,000 by 2029. Other key constraints include the availability of funding and effectiveness of marketing strategy. One solution to address this is using a minimum viable service and a basic app and website and pop-up stores to be located at various events. It is therefore critical now and in the coming years that the mental health and well-being of people aged 65 years plus receive the utmost priority. However, with programs such as Industry Connection, this growing social and health issue can be greatly reduced, and the lives of these important age group improved immeasurably. Thank you for listening.